So, Mo, I have been, you can only imagine how excited I have been with the way Ohio State's played. But they were at some point, while they were maybe favored by Vegas, I think there were a lot of people that were really wondering what Ohio State was going to do against Oregon
Mhm.
because you remember the first meeting, and you've also seen Ohio State kind of flop in areas where they really shouldn't have. They're right now the favorite to not only beat Texas, they're favored to win the national championship by a lot of sports books out there. How does Ohio State maintain their momentum against this game against Texas?
I mean, this is in a sense where some of the old school cats talk about that dog mentality. And this is where, you know, people fall in love with the Mamba mentality and the Kobe mentality. The job's not finished. Like, you're putting on a show, but it's not over with. Like, because at the end of the day, you still, like, you really haven't won nothing. And like, as the senior class that returned, like, in a sense, Ryan Day, like, we've been impressive. And I think, you know, if Ryan Day was coaching for his job in a sense entering these playoffs, I think he secured that regardless, unless we were just to get beat by 40 by Texas. I don't think that's happening. But I think in a sense, the job's not finished. Like, if I'm a senior and I still didn't beat Michigan this year, I didn't win the Big Ten championship. So the only way to make all of that right, of all the things that basically my career at Ohio State has been affected, the only thing to make that right is win the national championship. And people could have these silly arguments all you want. And if you're an Ohio State fan that says I'd rather beat Michigan in the same season than win a national championship, then you're crazy. I'm sorry, because that hardware being the best team in the country is more important than a regular season win at the end of the day, in my opinion, no matter how big the rivalry is. But I think it's just the job's not finished. And this is how you right the ship. This is how you go win it all. Yeah, I couldn't beat Michigan. I spent 4 years here, and I was a part of the team that couldn't beat Michigan. I was part of that class. I couldn't win a Big Ten championship, but I righted the ship, and I rode off into the sunset by winning it all. And so all these guys got to keep that same mentality. And some of these guys are building up their draft stock, the Caleb Downs, the guys that are coming back next year. You know, the Jeremiah Smith that people are already like, if he entered the draft this year, he'd be a first-round pick. So how you maintain momentum is you got to have that Mamba mentality of like the job's not finished. And we got to keep we got people on when we got our foot on their neck, we got to keep squeezing. Like, we got to squeeze the life out of these teams on both sides of the ball. And so defensively, we got to get physical. We got to hit them where it hurts. We got to expose the fact that this is a long season that college athletes aren't used to. It's cold outside now. These hits hurt a little worse. These injuries bug you a little more. These ailments start to, pop up a little more throughout the week. So we got to be violent and expose that. And I think that's what Ohio State's going to do. I think they understand the mission. And now that it's facing them to where, like, they control their own destiny, I think that's how they maintain momentum. We control our own destiny. And so if we fold and we don't play the way we've been playing, then it's all in our hands and it'll be on us. But we control this, and I think that'll be their motivation to maintain the momentum into this national title run.
One thing Ryan Day has said this week and even previous weeks before the Tennessee game, talk about the boys earning another right to just wear the scarlet and gray and just to be able to work with their brothers one more time. I think the national championship run, that in and of itself is one of those things where, yeah, that should motivate you enough. But being able to have added motivation to realize I don't have another game. This might be my last game with my dog. Like, for Caleb Downs to say, this might be my last game with Latham Ransom. It doesn't have to be. So let's go out there, do what we need to do to make sure that we got one more game to play together. For Will Howard, he wants to keep throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Buka and Carnell Tate. If he flops against Texas, hey, it's over. You're not wearing that jersey no more, and these guys are not your teammates. So I think that aspect is huge right now because, yeah, you got that title, but you also got to realize you enjoy playing football with this unit so much that you don't want to make this the last game that you play with them because, well, we laid an egg or we flopped on 3rd and 8. I didn't realize where the yard marker was, so I went down at the 7.5 mark instead of going past that 8-yard mark to get the first down. The little details are going to be massive for Ohio State to keep this momentum. And I believe they can. Like, I have no doubt at all that Ohio State's going to go in against Texas and beat the Longhorns. I have no doubt at all that Ohio State has a mentality and has the approach that is needed for them to win the national championship. I know it's the Monday of Texas week. I know the national championship is not until January 20th. I don't care. The way this team is playing, they're going to maintain their momentum, and they're going to win that natty, which Ryan Day desperately needs.
Yeah, and I think this will, I guess, right all the wrongs in a sense. And so I think it's a motivation for Ryan Day too. Like, I can right the ship right here. Like, yeah, I've messed up and I haven't been able, and maybe Michigan, the Michigan matchup is now it's mental. And I did try and prove a point that we are tougher than them and we can out physical them as opposed to just letting our superstars win us the game and getting the ball in our playmakers' hands. Like I went away from that. I let my ego get in the way. But I can write all of that by winning. I mean, nothing is better than winning a national championship at the end of the day. Like, because you could tell me like, oh, well, I'd rather beat Michigan and I'd rather win a Big Ten championship. And we weren't able to do that. But like the team that did that is Oregon and they're at home now. Like we beat them. Like the team that won the Big Ten championship, the team that went undefeated, you know, the team that won all the regular season games that you so concerned about, whether it's a rivalry or not, they're at home right now and we're playing in the semifinal. We're competing for a national championship. And so I would take that any day of the week. And so that's got to be like for Ryan Day, like I don't think, why would you go away from how you've been coaching at this point?
Right.
Why would Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, or Jim Knowles run away from what's been working? And so at this point, I think it would be a shock if we didn't maintain this momentum. And I think it would be on coaches more than players. Like, I don't think there's a single player in that locker room that's not motivated to win the national championship. At this point, too, like all the pressure that's been put on them, some of the guys, this $20 million roster that everybody's talking about, like now we see the light at the end of the tunnel and we feel like we're the best team in it. I'm sure every one of those guys in the locker room want to win the national championship and understand they're probably the most talented team left of the four. They would be favored, and they don't care about Vegas odds, but they know when they step on that field, they're the team that's expected to win. So I think that's enough motivation for the players within itself, and Ryan Day knowing like, man, this can change my entire legacy. And I mean, obviously, like, you know, Ryan Day keeps this momentum up, pounds Texas and pounds whoever we got playing the national championship. I'm sure he gets a 10-year and just blank check extension to coach at Ohio State, because you know how big a deal it is for you to be able to win the national championship. And so for him to be able to keep putting together these competitive teams and finally putting a stamp on it, I think that's how he maintains this momentum is, you know, I just got to keep coaching aggressive and got to keep trusting my coordinators too. So keep trusting Chip Kelly, keep trusting Jim Knowles, let Jim Knowles handle what he's done on defense. Like obviously he knows what he's doing. You arguably got the best defense in the country. You definitely, I think arguably have the best defense left out of the four teams, but you've arguably had the best defense in the country all year. So I think maintain momentum is just whatever has gotten you here, continue to do it. Don't run away from what's gotten you here. The formula works. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
What's been your best part about that formula that's been working for Ohio State's defense?
The best part, man, really the pressure on the quarterback. Like, and to see it back-to-back weeks with guys who can move. Like, Dylan Gabriel and Nico aren't Lamar Jackson back there with their legs, but they could create, they could extend plays with their legs. They could create plays. They could get first down with their legs. They can, you know, basically change the way you have to play a defense with their legs if you allow them to beat you that way. And so one of the things that we haven't done the best is get pressure on the quarterback. Like we don't finish, we weren't getting the home runs. We're getting pressure on the quarterback, but we're not getting sacks. So the most impressive thing has been getting back there and watching the pocket crumble and the quarterback go down for negative yards. Like seeing that and hitting home, and then that's created the interceptions and that's created the tip passes and the opportunities that we've made, and just it's created mayhem for the offensive coordinators on the other side. Is the fact that not only are they getting pressure, but we've made both the quarterbacks feel uncomfortable, which I think even in the Oregon game was something, because we weren't getting the home runs and getting sacks. We were getting pressure, but Gabriel never felt like a sack was going to come down, so he never felt uncomfortable. The minute we made him feel uncomfortable, though, and had him running frantic, like you've seen what it looks like. So just as great as the defense have played, and I know we're going to talk about some of the star individuals, but just the fact that we've been able to get home and have so many negative plays, tackles for losses on rushing attempts and sacks. Like those two things, and our two guys on the edge being able to come together, and I think combined for in these two games, like 8.5, 9 sacks combined, 7, 8 tackles for losses, like a bunch of 20-some quarterback pressures combined. So like those two, just being able to see all that, like this defensive line really just mesh as like a unit, and they've done it in the run game and in the pass game.